Hey, top of the morning to you. I'm Michael, or as the grandkids call me, Roo. Thanks for being on this episode. It's Saturday morning. It's July something. I don't know. I think maybe it's the 10th. That could be right. July 10th. Wow. Where does the time go? It's like, where does the snow go when the wind blows? I can't answer all those questions. It's like in the coloring book. My mother used to say, "What are you doing playing in the road?" And I would go, "I don't know if I can answer that." And if you can't answer it, you shouldn't be in the road. So there we go. So why the chicken cross the road? Because he was being disobedient to his mother, I assume. Hey, welcome to the 300th episode of Roodoodles Live. No kidding. Started in March of 2020. March of 2020. Wow. So I know it's been more than a year. So you go, well, but I don't do it every day. I try to paint Monday, Tuesdays, Saturdays. And then I've been teaching classes on Wednesdays, and my next class will probably start up early fall, and I'm working on what that's going to be, and just the whole concept of how we want to take maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks at a time, and just put it together and push you a little bit. That's my job. Push. The other word for that is encouragement. I hope you're feeling that from me. But I got to tell you, for 300 days, you've been an encouragement to me. Ed Head is with us today on the show. Probably closer toward the bottom of the hour, Ed's going to dance, and it's on video. Ed doesn't dance live, and there's a reason for that. I'll explain it all. In fact, there's a story attached to that, but I thought what I'd do is I would start off today with a painting that really started me painting online when I did it the first time on Facebook. I was out in the yard, and I just sprayed some paint on. This was many years ago, and let me show you my desk here just for a second. Here's the setup this morning. Here's the desk. There it is right there. You're looking at it's showtime. You're looking at some Kilimanjaro paper. I had some big paper. I had I had several bottles of this. The folks at Cheap Joe's years ago, when I first started painting, and I was still buying my art supplies, driving up to Boone and buying from up there instead of ordering and all that good stuff. They gave me some of these little misting bottles, and they said, just put a color in there and mix it up, and then you'll have these to spray. And you go, boy, you want to be loose, just spray your colors like that. And so I had a little pack that they had, and they had like 6 of these colors in it, and I went outside, set up a big canvas, and one of the first things I ever did live on Facebook was paint this Roo. And I think he's out there online somewhere. It's kind of fun. It just makes me excited to see that. And people said, I can't believe you're just throwing paint. I can't believe people don't just throw paint, okay? Because that's where the real magic happens. So I hope you're thinking like an artist. That's if you've been in a class with me in any of these 300 days, you know that the first thing we do is, how do you think like an artist? How do you think like an artist? Do you think like an artist? I want you to think like an artist. Someone asked me yesterday, they said, what do you do? And I said, it's on the phone. I took one of those calls from someone who said they weren't who they really were. It transferred to someone else who was sort of what he was, and then to the last guy who said, no, this is what I do. And I said, what makes me not want to talk to you is your screeners. So change their language. Have them tell me the truth. I'm an old guy who's been a storyteller all of my life, and I know when somebody's leading me down the embellished trail of folklore or not so truth and so fullness, and you took me there. And he said, oh man, I hear that. And I said, no, I don't think you do. And he said, no, I promise I do. And I said, well, if you do, you'll call the screeners and say, don't set me up to fail. Ta-da. So what I've been trying to do is set you up to win. So he said, what do you do? And he said, are you an artist? And I go, I think like one. And he didn't know what to do with that. What do you mean you think like one? I said, well, don't you think like one in your work? Aren't you a problem solver? Don't you try to make it work here and there? All right, I'm going to say hello to some of you, and then I'm going to grab a big old piece of paper and do a resemblance of that first Roo I ever painted online. We'll put a little music in the background. And I got another shot for you today just for fun because I thought I could. Here's the headshot. That's me right there. Here's the picture-in-picture shot. We're going to do that. Let me move me out of the way just a little. Up there. The sound effects work. Here is the, ready for this? Here's the desk shot by itself. There it is. And here's a shot you haven't seen. There's the palette shot. It's a little shaky because I just put my other camera over here next to the desk, so I'll bump it. But it gives you an idea of what I've got laid out there. And I'll go ahead and give these a little drink. I'm going to take my Mystic bottle here from American Journey and just give these paints a little bit of a shot of water. Wake up. This is their coffee in the morning. I guess I could spray them with coffee, but then by the end of the thing, they would all look. Look at that right there. Guess what? They're still back ordered. But the Roodoodles mugs are out there. Good diner mug, takes both hands to hold it, keeps your drink warm, can milk one goat in it, holds bacon grease safe in the fridge. And if someone takes your purse, 25 feet, you can take them out. I'm drinking Builder's tea out of it this morning. Let me run down here and just say hello to some people. Golly. Top of the morning to you, Tamberly Marie. Thank you for 300 and all. 300 show. Valerie, Karen Pikert. Thank you. Fern Skelly, Deborah Tauber, Jackie Wallace, John Robert Small, cheering squad from the coffee capital of North America. Checking in. Hi, roommates. And John Robert Small's working on an idea. That's all I'm going to say right now. He's working on an idea, so he's going to keep me posted. Morning from the Wing Ding Celebration cornfields of Iowa. Nothing like a big wing ding to bring the people in. It's good to say wing ding if you're not a chicken. If you're a chicken, a wing ding ain't that hot, okay? All right, so Kelly Berger, thank you for being on the show from Dewey, Houston. That sounds like a person I went to school with, Dewey, Houston. I went to school with Houston Dyer, actually. Lori Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson, I hope you got the pin. I did send it again. Yvette Ludy, thank you for being on the show. It may be Lud, but I'm not sure. Lude or Sandy Rowe, thank you for being here. Annette Henslin, it's celebration time from up there in Bird Island. I'm actually coming up to Maine. I'm going to spend a week up there. I'm going to go to Bar Harbor and Camden, and I'm going to paint some. And I don't paint boats, but I bet I do in my journal while I'm up there. Laurie Buccelli, I think, Bellucci, I think I said that. Deborah Rideout, Dorothy Beasley, thank you for sending me a note, and I've got to go read it. Michelle, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for serving my wife so well. Skeeter Powell, Linda, Schleitning, thank you for being here. Annette Wall, congratulations for all your work. Hey, you guys have been here with me, so you're getting up earlier than me in some cases, especially you folks out in the middle of nowhere. Pat Normandale, is it just people with Pat? No, Susie's jumped in on the emojis. I bet there are more emojis on my show than any show in the history of the Facebook. Mary Dakota, thank you. Susie DeLay, Chris Whitaker, morning to you. Chris, I still have something from Chip Fur that I haven't put in a box. Everything else I think has made it your way, but it's coming. And Wester, thank you for being here. Kathy Padroni, Donna Buckley. Donna, I got some paper from you again. Thank you very much. Just some little pieces that I'm going to try. Heather Kuhlman, Todd Mundy, Jason Nichols, you say you are a true guru. And Jason, I'm gonna take the phrase. I like it so much. I owe you a phone call about storytelling. So take me to a trade. I think I want to spell it like this. I think it's goo. I think it's sticky. Gooroo. That just goes with Roobots and Roodoodles and Guru. So I think I'm going to be a guru with Gooroo. You think of the guru as being someone intelligent and wise and forsooth and admonish. I think it's more of just what it's like when you're an artist and you try to be a sticky personality. So I'm going to go with the goo. Virginia McClure says, woohoo, let's party. All right, here we go. Pat Lightbody, thank you for being on the show. Pat Brooks, there you are. Good to have you this morning. Lynn Brown, Beverly Schmidt. Golly, look at all you people. Karen Bender. Rob Chapeau, RC Cola here. Hey, my old artist friend in Atlanta, this dude is a great artist. I just hadn't convinced him yet that he needs to throw it out there to the public, but I'm working on him. Rob is a dear, dear friend of mine. He and I have been on the phone in the middle of a project that I'm working on today. When I finished shooting last night about 10 o'clock. And so I'm in the middle of it, man. And we worked on this sign that he designed, and we felt like it should just have such a southern drawl. But it didn't. But we made it square, and it's holding its own. So thanks for being on the show, buddy. Good to see you here this morning. Eileen Walker, okay, I'm going to stop right there and jump down and paint something before you guys go, what the heck? Thanks for piling on this morning. A lot of folks already on live. Joanne, thank you. Dolores Bolin, wow. Golly, I just love seeing you guys pop up here, and thanks for being a part of this. When I get the mugs, I will let you know. I'm so sorry. There's only a couple bug out bags left too. Those things went like, I can't say hotcakes because here's what it looks like right here. Here's the bug out bag. Let me find my desk. There it is right there. The bug out bag is a 7x12 canvas bag that says we're bugging out. It holds just enough little paper and some fun little paints that I've got in here. This is what I take with me. I slip this in my art bag. I'm never without a whittling knife and some painting supplies when I take off somewhere. So I think there's only 2 of those left. You can find them at roodoodles.com. By the way, the books are out. I'll talk about that later today. I'm going to move this Kilimanjaro, and I'm going to go grab a piece of Fabriano 140-pound paper. And so before Ed comes on to dance here in a little bit, I'm going to paint a big old rooster. Put some music on. Here, this paper is 140 pound. It's only 25% cotton, which is great for me this morning because I am going to put some liquid watercolor on here. And I'm going to move some of this over. And then I'm going to turn this camera around just kind of like that a little bit. This camera right here. See this one right here? So I get a shot of that. Maybe I can split this screen somehow. You know, I'm smart enough to do this. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Okay, there's a down shot and there's another shot. So there you get 2 shots of this going across. That might be a fun little way to see this take place. You got to double up the hands. It's going to look weird. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sketch a roof first with the number 7. Nope. I'm going to use the, I'll find it. Don't worry. I got one. Here's one right here. This is a Yasutoma Gel Extreme. It's an 05, and I'm going to paint with this. It wasn't made in 05. It's an 05 as in diameter of the ink. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, I think I'm going to do this roof this way. I just want to frame out where I think his head's going to be, and I think it's going to be right here. So, we're going to go there, big old comb up here like this, come down, and then I just want his legs in here, so I've got a feel for how he's standing. I'll take the rest of it from there. I think he's going to have this leg. I think I'm going to bring it out here like this, like it's just he's trying to take a step or trying to figure out who he is or where he is, and that's all I'm going to do with him right now. Just put a small eye right here. That's it. There's the Roo. let me come back down on this shot from the head shot. Let's see if I can go to the desk shot. There it is right there. So there he is. I'll go to that other shot in a minute, let you see how I'm going to blow this paint if I can. So this was one of the first paintings that I did online. And put a little music in here. This is liquid watercolor, P.H. Martin. They come in these bottles, so I'm going to use these today. I want red, I want blue, some black, gamboge. All right, let's see what happens here. Let's take some red here. See how well that worked? Good morning, Barbara from Australia. Glad you're here today. Thanks for being on the show. Absolutely marvelous. Thank you for being here. I like my roosters. Troublemaker. I think I after last night, I'm not sure I like the night owl as well, Rob, but we'll get there, man. Hey, so what I'm doing now is I'm taking some ink, and I'm taking, this is not ink, actually. I called it ink, but it's not. It is, I promise you, this is just liquid watercolor. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my, here, let me just show you what this looks like if I blow it. I think I'm going to go back to this palette shot right here. Let's see if this is it. Yeah, there it is right there. Okay, there you see this as I just blow across it. I'm going to take that spray bottle I had and just give it a little shot here, water. There's some right there. And now I'm just going to pick this up. I'll go back to my desk shot. I think it works better this way right here. Here we go. All right. So I'm just going to hold this up in front of the camera, and then I'm going to blow it. There we go. That's as far as that's going to go. All right, so you see what I got here, and then I'm just going to grab a, this is a JB100. This is a Yasutoma brush, and now I'm just going to start making some feathers here, just kind of letting this fly in wherever it wants. I want a little purple, so I'm using my paper as the palette. And this was one of the first paintings that I ever did live when I first started a year ago, and also when I just started painting outside. Why? Because I wanted to see if I could really paint loose. This is the painting that I always choose to do in a white pinpoint shirt, simply because, well, it just makes a bigger mess, I guess, is the reason I do it. I love all this, how this purple comes in. Come in here and get some of this right here. Just fill this in a little bit right here. This brush, this JB100, ready for this? JB stands for Japanese brush. It's really plastic and not bamboo, but it's made to hold these bristles with a ring very, very tight, and it won't crack over time. Bamboo, I love the lightweight. I love the feel of it. I'm getting used to this. In fact, I hadn't even cleaned off all the labels yet. They just sent it to me. Karen and Phoebe at Yasutoma sent this. By the way, I'm giving away 2 Yasutoma brushes later on this show. So just for commenting, your name will be in the drawing. And thanks for sharing this page. I really do appreciate that when you do. I think this is a little too much red, so I'm going to go in here and just blot some of this out. Pick it up just like that. See, that yellow was underneath, and I wanted more yellow in here. So, and then I'm going to pick up a little bit of blue and put it in here because I want some green to come out right there. Look at that. See, I'm just using the paper as my palette. Come back in here, grab a little bit of this, and make this thing work, I think, a little bit. So there's a little more red. I don't want all that red here. I want to get rid of that. And I'm going to come in with, I'm going to go over here in my other palette right now, this one right here. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of this French gray and tuck some of that in. And I want a little bit of purple. And I've got to have some Terry Tardy turquoise because everybody knows that changed everything when I started Terry Tardy turquoise back about 275 days ago, and found out that that was a great color to have. You can see what's happening to this paper, and how it sort of is breaking down and adding all these little holidays. And Fabriano paper is so different than Kilimanjaro paper. The more you paint, the more you're going to become aware of what you love and what you don't like, how you embrace the colors and how you move forward through all this, okay? So basically, you're going to see the pattern come up in this a little bit. Now, right now, I'm trying to stay clean because I've chosen the messiest painting I could possibly choose. And I chose 2 messy paintings this morning to do on the show because it was 300 before Ed dances. You know, I mean, Ed's got to dance sometimes. So let's see if I can get you another shot of what this looks like across here. Let's see if this picture-in-picture is going to go from the desk. New scene. Nope, that's not. Don't want that. Hold it 1 second. All right. All right, so here we go. So now I'm just going to pick up some of this and just splash it in like this. Bring it down. And I want to come in here and I want to grab a little orange right here. This is where this is already mixed together. Maybe a touch of that blue. Grab it right here. And I want to come down with a little more yellow. And I want to just make the feet out of that color. So once again, what I'm doing here is, let me move these over so I can show you what I'm doing. Sorry. Hang on 1 second. This is a big old piece of paper here. What I'm doing here is I'm using this part of my painting for a palette. So I'm not going back to the palette. I'm just painting from the paper itself. The advantage of using some water like this is that you get these great colors, and so your painting complements itself. It's not like introducing another piece. All of these are the first 3, red, blue, yellow are the primaries. And so you wind up with this great looking splattered roux. And if I do want more splatters out here, I can just touch this brush here, grab myself another brush here, and just bang it out a little bit. Turn it like this. I think this rooster needs to be grounded a little bit. So I'm going to come in with some pen marks just underneath him here. All right. Patricia says, ooh, Camden, my good friend lives in Friendship. Next town over, I'll be in Bar Harbor. So you guys, yeah, I'm coming up that way. Rob's picking on me with the owls. Hey, Pat says she's just saying hello to everybody. That's what Pat does. That and put emojis on the paper. That's not all Pat does. Pat is one creative artist that turns out as much work as anybody I've ever seen in a matter of a day. When she sits down, things fly. And so, Pat has been the art behind Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, which is the book. And I got to tell you, they start shipping over half. I think about half of them have been shipped in from the publisher. This book starts shipping. Those of you who pre-ordered, it starts shipping on Monday. And so labels being done, envelopes. And so that book, Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, rules written by me. And not really rules, I don't have rules. And all the artwork basically is done by Pat. And I didn't coach her on this. And that's such a bad word. I didn't even instruct her. I didn't even chide. I just said, I'd love some holidays, but you just hear me say these things. Paint what comes to mind. And so it's a true collaboration. It's been fun. There's even a page in here where here's my tools. Yasutoma, American Journey, Niji water brush. Here's my little tiny Altoid box. There's a Kakuno pen. And here's Pat's. Would you say she's just a tad neater than me? You're going to figure that out when you read the book also. But coming in the fall, these are going to make some prints also. Someday soon, you'll wake up and say, I will reinvent myself. The world needs my art. So there's all kinds of little things in there for you to share with your grandkids, for you to share with friends. And so I hope some of you wind up doing that. I know several of you teach schools, and so I hope you can do that. You can find the book on Amazon right now, and it's there with the other book. The coloring book is out, Robots, Free Range Creativity, and that's my that's my roosters and small farm equipment. And there's an explanation of what I did. There had to be a plow in there. And then there's a place for what if you draw it, a place for kids to do it. I say these are watercolor, these are colored pencils and fine line markers. So that's how that's going to work. Okay, so there's the roux, but I got to come up with some grass. So I'm going to go in here and get myself a little red and a little blue And then I'm going to come down here and make a little bit of green grass. There it is right there with a little bit of that uh, red in there. It's going to create some brown and shadow and dirt and let some of that shadow trail out down here. Can you see that? So there it is. And I'll put a little bit of dark shadow here because that's the leg on the back side. I don't worry about shading too much on this type of caricature whimsical Roo. I do think I want to roll my brush in the red right here and then just add a couple little tips of red in there and maybe give it what I call beauty spots. Just splatter that a little bit like so. And then let's dirty up the ground a little bit. So let me come in here and get some of this and then just kind of come along here and splatter like that. So there's the Roo right there. Big old happy Roo that says sign it right here. Roodoodles.com. Michael, and it's 721. There it is right there. And then I'll come back when he dries and do a little more detail work in here on the leg with one of these pens. This is a Pentel Energel, so that's kind of where that goes. All right. So, hey, so I'm going to shift gears. Man, I like this. See all the holidays? Remember what holidays are? The spaces in watercolor where you don't fill everything in. You let the paper breathe. You don't have to paint with white paint. Why? Because, well, the white comes through from the paper and makes it the beautiful color. I'm going to blow this right here. Oh, yeah, I thought that because I needed a little more on my shirt, apparently, but I like that right there. Okay, and I'm just going to let these dark spots dry in. When they do, they're going to give us that bloom hard edge that some of you love in watercolor, some of you hate. And so just take for what you get. And then I'll just take a few more little sprigs and let them roll around here like this. And I like to come in with the pen and just break the plane for some hair. I need a little shadow right up in there too. Let me go in and put just a touch of shadow right there behind that wattle. That's the wattle, you know. Got to know the parts of the rooster if you're painting them. All right, need a little more dark right here, so grab some of that. Come in right there. There we go. All right, so I'm loving it. That's the big Roo. He's what is this piece of paper? 11 by 14. Is that right? Let's see. 11 by 14. 11 by 15. No, 11 by 14 and a half. I don't know who cut this paper, but there it is. He'll come up with a caption in a minute. When he dries, I'll come in here and I'll think what he's going to say has something to do with something. I promise you that. So there we go. That's never have found the coffee Coke? Come on, Barbara. It's out there. Call Coca-Cola. I'll give you a number. Call them in Charlotte and say, hey, call Coca-Cola Bottling Company in Charlotte, North Carolina. Call their call center and ask for Grant, Grant, Haun, Haun. Say, hey, how can I get in touch with Grant Haun, Haun? Say, Roo told me to call you. Where can I find Coca-Cola and coffee in a can where I live? Okay, it's Coca-Cola and coffee. What does it taste like? Coke and coffee. So call Coca-Cola Bottling in Charlotte, North Carolina, and say, would you put me through to Grant, Grant, Haun, Haun? Hey, he'll know who Roo is. That's my son. Okay. And Rob, I thought about your son this morning. I got him right here. Guru, fab. Jason, thanks, man. Appreciate it. When you have a class, do you put materials list in your classes? KN Sparks, great question. I do, but that doesn't mean that you have to get all of my supplies. And here's why I work that way as Ed gets ready to dance. There are so many great paints out there. There's so many great brushes out there. I paint what I love with what I love, and I paint with the paint that I love too. So the brushes. I discovered a new brush this year. I've always known about Yasutoma, but I'd never really known the people personally until recently. And so they've got in touch with me. And so, in fact, I'm going to give away a brush here shortly, or two brushes. I'm going to give away the SW1 and the SW3. They look like these right here. And in fact, wow, I just sent the Roost Crew folks who did that painting. I'm so sorry. I was going to mention it today and show it. Someone did the painting of the dog. And I sent that to Yasutoma, and they absolutely loved it. And I think they shared it back on the page. But they love the fact that you're trying these brushes out. Are they easy to paint with? No. They hold more water than your regular styled watercolor brushes. Do I like them more than these watercolor brushes? Not really, but everything has its use. But this is a more controlled brush. This is my American Journey brush. This is a number 10. These are interlock nylon. I don't have sable brushes here. I don't have brushes that cost a fortune. I did a painting class about 10 or 12 years ago, and because it was a Chinese class, I didn't speak Chinese, but I had to buy Chinese brushes, and that started me into Yasutoma brushes, and I fell in love with them during that course. So sometimes it's good when somebody gives you a list and you push a couple things out. But if you're using Daniel Smith paint, and I'm using American Journey paints that come in the tubes, I just squeeze them in here in a little container like this because it makes it easy for me to move around on the desk. If you have Daniel Smith, or if you have who cares, Remington or Renoir or HW, who cares, HWC, doesn't matter. There's a couple that I don't like, and I mention those sometimes, but I try not to, because you may fall in love with it, and you may not like bamboo brushes at all. I've just learned that they help me be loose because they carry a lot of water. If you can get over your fear of water and dive into the shallow end, and just put paint there and let it go, you're going to wind up with some very loose paintings. Why do I push loose paintings? Because everyone paints tight when they start. You're afraid of making a mistake. You're afraid of letting things run out of the lines. You're afraid of messing up your paper or the shirt or your table. Cover the table up like I've done here, my pub table, and just paint. Put on a shirt that's just white. If you get paint on it, I'll paint it in 4 days, and then I'll turn it into a shop towel. Hey, I'm not rich. I buy them at Goodwill. I'm a genius. All right, you see where I'm headed with that? So do I put a list? I put my list in there. As a matter of fact, if you want to know what I'm using most of the time and the 6 colors that I use the most, if you go to Cheap Joe's Art online, or if you get their catalog, I'm on page 50 something of that. They've got a section there that says Roodoodles, and here's what he uses. I'm in the 2020, this is 20, isn't it? 2021 catalog. Okay. So I'm going to clean up my desk, but I'm going to let Ed Head dance. But before he dances, I'm going to show him to you. Here he comes. Ready for this? Drum roll, maestro. Need a little Ed Head music here just to get him coming up. Ed, this is Ed's dance floor. Let me move this painting over. I'm going to come back and put a caption on this in a little bit. I'm going to lay it right there and just let it bleed a little bit. I've laid it in the floor. This is Ed Head's dance floor right here. It's simply a piece of birch plywood. Ed's pad, it says. In fact, that's an old Florida number, if that tells you anything, okay? It's been stepped on once. So I'm going to have to make a new one soon. And I just painted the star on here with the Sharpie, nothing fancy. It's a thin piece of plywood. It's 1/8 inch long. I broke my original one. Ed he's not called a jumping jack doll because those dolls were made with just pins and their legs went up like this, almost like a court gesture doll. This is called the lumberjack doll. So his legs have a hinge pin, like so. Let me show you what he looks like. Here's Ed Head, because some of you have asked about this, and I wanted you to see. Ed has been dancing with me. He danced at the Olympics in '96 in Atlanta. He's done over 115 shows in a barn in Weaverville, North Carolina. Light bulb swings down and Ed dances. Here's how he is. He's made out of black walnut, really nice hardwood. He's not pine. He's got some weight to him. His arms are on a pin, so they've been known to swing around. He's a silhouette body. There's a hole right there where he's a little higher than his belly button. His legs are cut like this. They're almost very triangular shape. Can you see that? And then there's a pin that comes in from outside. Then another pin here. So this really hinges well. And then his foot's heavy and thick. It has to be for the weight to drop down. And this, so your Ricky Tiki dolls and your Jack dolls have a pin that their legs come out like this. This doll swings like this. And so when he's dancing, this little stick goes in his back like this, so he balances over his pad, and then he dances like so. So I came in here. I showed this on the show maybe a few days ago or 2 weeks ago, and some people said, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen one of those since I was a little kid." And I can tell you, there's a story with this. Let me just tell you the story here. We used to go to the Shindig on the Green in Asheville, North Carolina, my wife and I, when we were first married, and it was parking lot picking. There was always a main stage, and hundreds of people would come. They would bring their lawn chairs, and they would gather around, and they would bring their sandwiches and their picnic baskets, and the lights would come on, and the sound was good, and ladies and gentlemen, and they would introduce bands that you never heard of before. It was fabulous, fabulous. Off in the corner near the stage was a man, and I can't remember his name anymore. And Carol and I are racking our brains trying to come up with it. But he was 6'11". I know he wasn't 7'11" because that's a convenience store. But he was 6'11", but he also wore a top hat. And he wore his pants pulled way up high, okay? And so it made him look taller than that. But he had a lawn chair that he brought that had a plywood bottom in it. And I always thought, that doesn't look that comfortable. You know, just a little lawn chair with the aluminum arms and this plywood bottom that he'd cut out roughly with a jigsaw, it looked like it. And it was just pop riveted down into the aluminum. And he sat on that. And I'm thinking, why didn't he just put like a pad or a pillow? Then it dawned on me, because as people would gather around him, and a banjo and a guitar and a fiddle and a mandolin and maybe sometimes a bulldog bass or a stand-up bass, boom, 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 boom. Guys would start playing music, and under his chair he'd reach down and he'd get the board, and he'd slide it under his leg, and he would move it back and forth till he had it just flipping the right way he wanted to. He had to have some leverage there, spring in the board. And then he would reach down and he'd pick up his lumberjack doll, and he would start the doll, and he would start the doll just tapping a little bit, and he would start tapping out the rhythm of the music. Kids were drawn to it. They would suddenly just leave their parents' side and go around the chair. And people sometimes would put a little spotlight on him or a flashlight on him, and he would sit there and tap out the rhythm of that music, and that little man would dance every song. He didn't get tired. And then this strange thing happened. Somebody would say, "Oh, I'd love to have one of those. Where can I get it?" And he would do like this. He'd go, which meant, hold on a second, and I'll tell you all about it. Smart marketing guy he was. So he would dance the last little song. He'd sit the man down. He'd sit him in the chair. He'd walk over to his old pickup truck, and he'd pull up the back of the camper, and he'd reach in, and on a little piece of cardboard, he would have one of these pieces taped down just like this. And he would say, "That's $15. And he'd sell one. Someone would say, "You got another one?" He'd say, "That's $15. You got another one? That's $15. And we would stand there and watch that man just take in $15 forever. And I thought, he thinks like an artist. He's a genius. So I wanted one made out of hardwood, not knotty pine and not poplar. And I wanted one that wouldn't split. It was about a year or so later, maybe, Carol found this one for me. In Al Stan's Craft Shop, which was around the corner, not far from a couple of favorite places that we'd like to just go in, and the theater there in Asheville. There's a little craft stand there that sold true American crafts, and he was in there. And I didn't know what to call him, except that I'd had a run-on skit with some guys about Ed, their friend Ed, whose dad's name was Ted, who went to med school, and he had a brother and an uncle named Fred. And he made all the money he could put under the bed. So we just went on. So Ed Head became Ed Head. And then I've had him ever since. So that's the story. And here's Ed dancing while I clean up my desk. And I videotaped this so you could see it. And I did a couple camera angles. It's not the greatest quality, but you'll get the idea. Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome, if you would, to the Roodoodles stage, Ed Head. Ooh. Hey, you guys are patient to watch that. It gave me time to clean up my desk here and get everything ready for a drawing. And that song went on and on and on. And I taped that about 5 times, so my finger was worn out last night. But you get an idea of how it works. So if you want to get one, by the way, you can find them on Etsy. But don't buy the Jack dolls that are pinned this way. You want the ones that have the legs that are made this way right here. Okay. So let me give you one more shot of that with a desk cam here. Let me just pull down on the desk. There's Ed right there. You see how those legs are made? Okay, you see that in my hand? So you want to make one like this. And these, you might find these called the lumberjack dolls, but you want to make sure he has heavy enough feet to give him that clogging mentality. And the reason I trimmed the paddle like this instead of a flat board, it's thinner. And of course, you run the risk of breaking it every now and then. But you put this, and I've always done this on an apple box. If you notice, I was sitting on my old apple box, and I adjust the length. It's like when you were in the school and you learned how to flip the knife off of the table you're in. So you find the right approach, and then just give it a flip and dance around. Change his acoustics by different places around the star, and then when you're really moving, of course, you can get Ed's legs going. And so, man, I've had this thing since the 70s, and it's got my name on the back. This board, of course, is new, but it's Ed Head's pad. So there it is right there. I don't make them, and I can't remember the guy's name who did. But let me get back to painting for you. But first of all, let me draw a name here. Let me do this, and I'll finish up with one painting. Thanks for being with me for 300 hours. I've been telling stories and goofing off with you and trying to encourage you to be a better artist, think like an artist, and do fun things for your grandkids or for your family. And if you go back to some of the first things that happened, that first May in 2020, not the May that the Pilgrims came, but the one where we started painting. Jenny was quilting, and the postman lost her big original painting, and it was 11 by 14 painting of a quilted rooster, and Jenny was a quilter, and she bought this painting for Mother's Day, and I sent it to her and thought everything was fine, and 30 days left, she sends me a note and says, "It's lost." And I said, "Oh no." So I tracked it, but it says Jenny has showed up. And she said, "Well, it's not here." So I called the post office, and of course they said, "It's our mistake. We delivered it to the wrong number, right street, wrong number." Anyway, that house is burned down. Nobody's there. And I said, "Well, why'd you leave it in the mailbox?" So Julie tried to fix it. They finally found it. We had her on the show, and then someone took it over to her the next day and folded it in half because it said "do not bend" right there on the front, but it wouldn't fit in the box. So I wound up sending her a new one. But I ask you, as a new audience then, would you help the post office remember where Jenny lives? And over 150 of you sent her cards and notes and gift certificates and all sorts of things. And that was the start of this community. That was the start. That poem, that story, that whole concept led to us really realizing that art is helping other people. Now you've given art to assisted living centers. You're sharing back and forth. You're painting. You're selling art. You're doing your own shows. It's crazy what you're doing, and I'm grateful for your community. So let me do this. I'm going to. I see Aaron's on the show. Good morning, my dear, from Colorado. Thanks for being on the show. My daughter and her family are in Colorado, and so Yaya and I are babysitting the dog. He is a hoot. That's all I got to say about that. He's a French bull, and he just knocked all the sofa cushions off of the couch, and then he gets on the back cushion. He finally, after one good turn deserves another, he finally lays down. All right, so I'm just going to go back and forth, and I'm going to call out a name. If you're on the show, send me an email at roodoodles@gmail.com, and I'm going to send you actually, Cheap Joe's is going to send you 2 Yasatoma brushes. Yasatoma sends them to Cheap Joe's, and Cheap Joe's is going to fulfill these orders, so you'll get some fun stuff from those guys. So here it goes. Hey, thank you, Dawn, for saying this group is supportive in both light and art. Thank you so much. So enjoyed the dancer. Yeah, thanks for just letting me be silly sometimes. You know, sometimes we're just not silly enough. We get all serious. And by the way, that's a rule in the book. Don't take yourself so serious, especially when you're making art. So I'm going up and down on the scroll list. I'm going to swing around and I'm going to pop on the first name that I come to. And it is, boom, Virginia Man. Virginia Man. Virginia Man, if you will send me an email at roodoodles@gmail.com. VIRGINIAMANN. Virginia Man, if you'll send me an email at roodoodles@gmail.com, you're going to get 2 of these brushes. You're going to get a 1 and a 3 SW Yasutoma Chinese brushes. Let me tell you about Asian brushes. Let me tell you about them. If you want information on Yasutoma, you can look up that word, YASUTOMO, Yasutoma. That was his name. Started this company in 1954. He shipped Asian art supplies to the U.S. because he knew we would love their style. And I'm going to do one with this painting, a brush in a second. And then he would use his containers to ship snack food back to Japan. I love it. Moon pies going to Asia. I don't think he got them from the South, but man, would that be fun. Okay, that's kind of cool. So, Virginia Man, if you will send me, I got to warm up my tea. I got a new thermos, man, and this one is just so sweet. It's got a little push button up there, and it keeps, my last thermos was keeping my hand hotter on the outside than it was my drink on the inside, so I jettisoned it. It became flotsam and jetsam. All right. So here we go. Yes, the paddle really makes this thing go. And some of you are talking about Ed Head. I call him. You name yours whatever you want. I may start calling mine the Guru. But Virginia, send me that email at roodoodles@gmail.com and you'll get those. Your heart skipped a beat for a second. Virginia McClure. Okay, well, Virginia, thanks for posting. You guys are loving the show today. There's a lot of you on. I appreciate you celebrating 300 days. You know, I'm going to keep this up until I can't keep it up because I love coming on board with you. I'll miss some times coming up, but I will come up with a new class that we're going to have fun. But right now, let's do something really fun. Let me just draw a Roo like this, and I'm going to just draw him with a regular, I'm going to use a 5 right here. Here we go. All right, and I'm going to do this one. I wanted to do 2 messy Roos for you this morning, and so here's the second one. The first one is big old Roo that I'll show you again before I go, and I'm hustling. So let me put on a little bit of music, see if I can get some music going here. And all right, here we go. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it this way. You know, you see what I like to do. I like to just get that first foot out of the way like that. And that gives me, and then I'll just let the tail be free. And I'm gonna come in here. Sometimes I like to use one of my favorite pens, which I wish Papermate would get on the game and listen sometimes and say, hey, let's make the pen that those artists are yelling for, but they quit doing that. I just like to make cross-hatching with this pen because it bleeds so well. So remember that. That's a fine flare. You can use another fine flare for that. You can use another pen for that. This one I had a minute ago, the Extreme Gel does well. Actually, even the fountain pen Kikuno does well. Did I ever finish answering that? I have a list of supplies, but you can take my classes without buying the supplies that I'm putting out there. The last thing I want you to do is, people don't pay much for my classes anyway. My classes cost $8.57 a class. And we usually have 4 of those or 5 or 6 of those in a group. So do the math. It's pretty inexpensive. $34.28 for a month of just gathering up. I storytell. I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But right now, I'm going to take these pens and put them over here. And I'm going to drag in this little piece of slate right here. See it? Okay. There's the slate right there. Sorry, I missed my... oh, what happened here? There it is. I guess I'm learning. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm going to take this brush with some water. That's why you hear me clicking into my mason jar here. This was clean water when I started, but after that one Roo, you see what I've got in there. It's still clean enough to paint with, though. I don't change my water every time, and I'm going to come in and I'm just going to put some water in here. So I'm painting with water. I think I want another little waddle coming down on this side right here. Yeah, like that. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to splash some water around like so. I'm going to see if I can hold this up so you can see where it's going. Look for the glare. in my lights. Can you see it? Not yet. There it is. There it is right there. See the glare? See the glare on here? That's where the water's going so far. You'll be able to see it very clearly in just a second because I'm going to drop some ink in it. All right. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to take my brush, moisten it up, wipe it down a little bit. I'm just going to lay it in this ink, and I'm just going to roll it around in the ink. I'm actually twisting the brush and turning it around like so. And then I'm going to take it right here, and I'm going to start and just drop a little bit of this ink in right here, and then just let it follow the water around. Look, just going to let it follow the water. Want to do a quick black and white Roo? Take a look at this. I painted a sheep this morning that was just with a pen, and it's so fun to do that. Just paint with a little water and then drop it in and take a look. You're coming in. Now, if I wanted to, I could come in with my regular palette here, wash my brush out. So don't forget to try this. Go back every now and then. Some of you started doing this with me early on. Now I'm just going to go get a little red and throw it in there like so. And I'm going to put some up in here in his comb, like so. I'm watching my time. I got one more minute to go here. Or no, not one more minute, but a couple minutes on this one. And then I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to just, this is the only place I pre-mix. I take a little gamboge here, come in here like so. A little bit of red, maybe a touch more. Remember, I try to wash my brush out between each dip into this pan. You want to keep these colors as pristine as possible. Worst thing you can do is just wind up with brown at the end of the day. Got a little bit of gray in there. I like that look. Get a little more orange going up the leg here and here. Now I need some of that gamboge to just pop out a little bit right here on the beak. And then I'm just gonna, this is what I love about these SWs, this 1 and this 3. Look at this. I'm just barely letting this thing skating on thin ice here, folks. Just kind of coming down and letting it be a part of what it needs to be a part of. Look what's happening right here where this is separating. The gray and the water are running out of this. I'll shake a little of this in there. Just going to let it dry, and it's going to create these great water spots. So you get this whimsical look that you can't get any way else. And I love that so much. That's part of what makes this exciting for me. And that's part of what scares people off from watercolor. They say, I just don't have any control over my painting. And I'm saying, thank God for that. Maybe you don't need control over your painting. Let the painting happen. Okay? Ask Jason if he feels like he doesn't have any control over his line paintings that he does. Or look, Denise has a different style. She has tons of close clip. She leaves holidays, but she has tons of fine line within her dogs and her cartoon characters that she does. Chris has lots of control. It's how your visual voice develops. So there's a little of that in there. If you want to make some cool grass, you can take your bamboo brush like this, and you can spread it with your fingers like that. You see me doing that right there. Watch over the white paper. Let's see if you see that. And then you can just drag this right up like this. Spread it again. And just kind of drag it up and get that look. So instead of going in and painting each sprig, the heck with that. If I want a little bit of a sky in here, I come in here just with a little more water and reach in and get some of this ultramarine blue and just bounce it in like this. And then I just take my pen here and splatter what's left in my brush around here like this, and I wind up with this. I wind up with this cool-looking rooster that's just got some really fun little features. So these were the first two of the first two roosters that I started with when you guys joined me online over 300 days ago. You know, just because, why? Well, one, I didn't know if people would watch or not. And so honestly, I knew that I love to see ink run. I love to see colors blow out and explode. And so that had been fun for me to do. And I thought you might enjoy it. And then I thought it might be a way to push people saying, oh, that's a new way to do art. Any questions? And then I'm out of here. Love that Roo. Need the holidays to keep it cool. Tuxedo Roo. That's a great call for him. I was introduced to bamboo brushes from my dad. He loved painting clouds. I was fortunate to live at home and in college. Art major. Wow. Mickey, that's fantastic. The Inklings will be sending me positive energy. Wow. To push through the supporting line. He looks like he just ran. He looks like he just outran a fox. I love that. Maybe he did. The Roo is dramatic, Jason says. Congrats on 300 shows. Thank you so much. Listen, the books are available at Amazon.com. You can still get the books from me at Etsy. I have plenty of the coloring books here. The other book, I will fulfill all the orders. We won't get them all fulfilled this week simply because some have not shipped on my doorstep. They're still being printed. Amazon can get you one or two as they drip in. I had 70 or 80 all at one shot, so those are happening soon. I love your new brush. Perfect. I'm glad this is your happy place. Thanks for being a part of the show. Love having you guys pop on. Thanks for like far out, John Robert Smalls says. He was so, Ed Head is so 70s. All right. So we'll go out on this route. I'm going to give both of these captions. There's that one. I'll leave him laying there for a second. And then let me give you this one to see again. Here he is right here. This is the big Roo. I'll throw these on the auction block, and they'll pay for a little bite of lunch today. I'll put them out there at a cheap start, and you guys can have a run at them if you want. And I'll put a little thing here, painted on 300 episode, and sign them. It's just what we do. Let me put this one in the floor, and let me grab one more short little piece of paper here. Short little piece. Let's just grab another piece of Kilimanjaro and do something really fun. Ed Head just fell in the floor. So it's the 300 show. I can go a couple minutes late. And you guys can catch it later. Here we go. Let's just do a quick sketch of something here that makes me think that somebody needs this painting right here. You need this coffee cup. I gave away the two brushes. Thanks for being a community and sending each other a note. I keep up with Roo's crew. It's amazing how many of you send cards out. It's amazing how many cards I have on that table over there. That's not a plea. Thank you. Send them to each other. You're doing great. Thank you for doing that. Okay. So here's the top of my mug. My mugs sort of dip in a little bit, and then they come down like so, and then they have a bottom on them, and this one kind of dips in, and then it comes out, and then the handle comes out like this and back in, and then it sort of spreads out again. It goes up and way out and then back around and then there. That's not a bad looking little mug for just a freehand quick spiel. There's the liquid in. I think this little peep is going to be sitting right here like this. There he is right there. I think this is here. I think this says coffee. So, how fast can you bring that together? Watch this. I'm going to show you just really quickly with this brush. All right. All right. So we're just going to go in and get some water. Paint this carefully right here. How about just a little water wash here? That's what this piece of music is called. I purchased some new music so I wouldn't have the same old cotton picking argument that I've had with Facebook for a while. Even though my other music service said, "Hey, your licensing is good," sometimes you just say, "To heck with you. I'm not gonna compete." So I never use music that's copywritten. I always use music that allows me to play it online. But sometimes I'll get somebody who'll hear something and they'll go, "Hey, that was Bach's Concerto." I go, "Yes, it was, but it wasn't played by Yo-Yo Ma. It was played by Yo-Yo Ma's Ma." That's funny. I just said it right there. Okay, so let's see a little turquoise here. Look at this. This is what I like to do sometimes just to make things brighten up in life. There's a little coffee, maybe a little coffee on the ground here beside it, like so, right here. Maybe a little coming off the cup. Maybe a little right inside the cup here. And maybe just a little splatter or two. Let's see. Why don't we just do a splatter that we normally wouldn't see, like a little purple splatter, maybe just a touch of blue there. And then maybe some brown splatter in here, just right along the edge of the cup right there. So there we go. So that's how fast you can do a little coffee sign to go by your coffee station. All right. There it is right there. All right. And I just swipe that all over that. I don't have to go back and put a little brown in there. That's why you shouldn't rip these off until they're dry, but sometimes you do, just because you get in a hurry. Okay, so that's it for me today. Hey, I will see you Monday, Lord willing, and with a cup of tea in my hand, some builders. I'll keep you posted on the mugs when they become available. I promise you, I'll have them on my store. Right now, it's books, and it's 2 or 3 bug out bags left. That's all. And make sure you look up Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, Pat and I's book, and also Roodoodles. It's going to be fun for kids. And I'm telling you, it's going to be fun for adults too. Today, the farmyard. Tomorrow, the world. Thanks for purchasing those books. Thanks for keeping art alive. Thank you for thinking like an artist. You were created. Create some art. I am out of here like a herd of turtles. And I think I dropped my harmonica this morning. Let me get it right here. Here it is. Always have to go out on a little song. Remember, 8:57, what it stands for. What people ask me all the time, why do you start the show at 8:57? And I say, because it's 3 minutes before 9. The other reason is if you add it up, that's 20. If you sketch, if you journal, if you doodle for 20 minutes a day in 6 months, you will not believe what has happened to your art. It will have gone up the escalator a long ways. Several floors, I bet. Okay, I'm out of here. All right, thanks for being on the show. I'll answer some questions if I have them in the comments. Congratulations on 300. Thank you for being a part. What a great show today. Thank you for all the likes. That really helps. And thank you for sharing my page. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles.